Yo.
You got to pause.
Oh, that's right.
In case I got to cut it.
We don't got to.
I don't even say the one, but that's.
Anyhow, so this is
Green Room.
This is Green Room 13,
episode 13.
Take 2.
You didn't even have to tell them that. Why you got to be so honest? That's what we do.
Because that's what we do here.
I know.
Yeah, that's what we do. Anyhow, keeping it real. So we'll bring it right back. I want to bring it right back to what we were just talking about, since y'all missed it, and I think it's important.
Huggy Bear.
Well, Huggy Bear is important too. But...
I was totally talking about Huggy Bear, how dope Snoop Dogg is, and I love that dude. Snoop, I love you, bro. All right, good. Now go back to the topic.
So just a quick refresh, and in some ways this might actually work out better, because I think we did rant just a little bit. But
that's Green Room.
It is.
We're allowed.
But
this is Tree of Trust right here.
So the discussion that I want to bring back specifically for now, for the beginning of the show, is ran into a little issue posting one of our videos where we hit a copyright snag through the YouTube.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the YouTube algorithm caught us.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
the way it came about, I'm pretty sure that's the way it is. Long story short, you, our musical friends who we love dearly, we would love to help promote you even further, and possibly have you do so by giving us a 15 second, 30 second with our own theme song. Maybe just write it, and then we can get some of our other friends to play it, so we can get like 5, 6, 12 different versions. Whatever, dude.
You know what? And it doesn't even have to. Whatever, however long it takes. But I would love it to be one of those things where it just kind of takes on a life of its own. That it's just, whoever out there is a singer-songwriter, you've listened to all these shows, and you want to just throw up some lyrics for...
In the comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will answer your comments. We do this.
Let's do it. And the more tongue-in-cheek, the better. I mean, however it comes out, whatever.
Well, yeah,
I love it.
I like the idea of tongue-in-cheek because, as I keep saying, tech check, or tech person-wise, one of the main things you got to be able to do is put up with us. Yeah, dude, that's not funny.
You got to roll with it,
Yeah, you do. You have to understand this is who we are. This is how we do it. You're going to be like, hey, we have to do it this way and that. It's like, no. We're going to do it this way. You need to figure it out.
You fix it on the back end. I don't
want to make it work. We make content. You help us make it better. Thank you.
Yeah, and the real thing is we don't want to have to change too much of who we are.
No. We're not going to change anything of who we are or our guests.
Going to come off au naturel.
Yeah, the best we're going to do as far as any kind of editing on this stuff is literally for audio clarity, audio performance. That's it. So as our equipment gets better, as our surroundings get better, it's going to be a thing of the only way we're going to edit is just to make sure we have the cleanest, clearest audio possible. That's the only editing I ever want to have happen on here, because otherwise it takes away from the raw, organic nature of what we're doing. That's it.
Yeah, and as these sound techniques get more more accurate, as far as not getting all these, you get rid of all the white noise in the background and all this fridge kicking on or whatever it is, that we finally get rid of all that, and you're just gonna hear our stupid goofs on the mic that much more, or maybe you'll hear that with more clarity.
Perfect timing. I'm impeccable, and I'm thirsty. Not anymore.
So we are partaking of...
Oh, no. We can't talk about that.
We can't talk about that.
Well, we don't have... We do copyright stuff. We were just talking about that.
We were just talking about that.
Dude,
this
is
pretty good, though.
Oh, it's dope. It is very dope.
Well, we could talk around it without actually naming...
We can tell them that is a dry-hopped seltzer, but here's the thing, is those who know there's only one company in the entire country that makes a dry-hop seltzer on the East Coast.
So we said something about it without actually saying anything.
Exactly.
That's
how you do it.
We're helping as much as we can. You know what I'm saying?
But that's also some OG stuff where it's like, we can have a conversation and I never tell you exactly what it is and you still know what I'm talking about.
Now, I think this is interesting because because I'm not a huge, and I think you were saying the same, I'm not a huge seltzer fan.
No,
There's other companies
I absolutely
out there.
hate seltzer. That is the dumbest thing in the world, dude. Yeah. Tonics and seltzers are the crappiest kind of soda liquid you could ever have. They are horrid. But
as an adult beverage, it's not the kind of thing I want something with a little, with a little backbone to it. But
I want hair on my chest from it.
This is kind of like the best of both worlds because it kind of it's a seltzer, but it's kind of like I want to say it's like a beer flavored seltzer. Well, it's
hop flavored.
Hop flavored, but
so you don't get so much the seltzer capacity as you do that it has that Sprite to it. You know, which beer being carbonated, you're still going to get that Sprite or that bubbliness. But you get also that hop flavor. Nothing, overwhelming, so it's not like IPA blow you in the face, hop. It's just enough where it's like, this is almost like a beer. But it's also not a seltzer, even though it totally is.
It's a weird combination because it's
a bomb combination because I hate seltzers. It's the dumbest thing in the world.
Well, no, but like, that when it, like a normal IPA lays down on your tongue, like you got that real thick bitter bed, but this is more like it's weird effervescence to it. Like it sits very lightly on the tongue, but still has all that flavor.
And I would take that to the fact that, one, being seltzer, two, low calorie, and it's just enough hop that's the flavor. So it doesn't blow you away like, oh my God, there's so much. I don't know. It's just enough where you're like, that's kind of dope. Yeah.
It doesn't have that overpowering bitter
I hate seltzers. They're the dumbest things in the world. I cannot stop drinking these because the caloric intake is great. The low, the fact of like carbs and all that do. Flavor's awesome. The health purposes behind it, as well as it's a little bit, it's lower on the ABV, so I can drink a few of these and I can still go home later. If I pound down 4 in a few hours, I'm not a mess. And I'm taking better care of my body because it's like, hey, I like to drink, but I don't want to be drinking to the point that it's going to hurt me or my body.
I mean, I could see that being great during the summertime. Mowing the grass or something like that.
Well, that's where I think the other flavors come in because you get some more of that, like, there's blood orange, there's like watermelon, there's all that kind of stuff. Yeah, dude, I can start to make like maybe some like mixed cocktail off that with like a little pineapple juice or something. I
can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
But dude, as a straight up, just like I want to crack a can and drink it. Dude, these things are bomb. Bomb.
I like the orange one. This one's okay too, for like I said, for different reasons. Because if what you like is that flavor, you get that. Yeah. Well, see, this is sounding just like an ad, so we gotta.
But this is what cracks me up is I'm not a beer guy. I've never been a beer guy. Like, dude, I like my liquors. I like something that's been aged. I want wine. I want scotch. I want, tequila. I want something that's been put in a barrel, or I want something that's taken some serious time to be produced. I'm not a beer guy. Sure as hell not a seltzer guy. But dude, my guy who makes all these things has done such a phenomenal job. I can't not drink his stuff. And it kills me because it makes me feel like I'm a liar. Because I'm like, I effing hate seltzers. Well, except for this one. Yeah, no, dude, it's... Dude, the dichotomy that my dude does to me.
Doing the best to make a liar out of you, right?
Pretty much. Well, he's not doing it to me. He's just that's what he does, and dude, it's working though.
Well, it works. I mean, you got to cater to every crowd. And when you're looking at low calorie beverages, I mean that's a nice option, right?
Oh, it's a great option.
What are you looking at me funny for?
Because you keep turning away from the microphone, which means that you're going to distort your overall volume that you're getting into. Yeah. And until we can get a tech person to actually help us deal with this so they can help us modify in the background. Again, we're not going to edit the content. We will edit for audio quality. Resume in the comments.
I should talk out of the side of my mouth. So.
I mean, screen room. You can do whatever you want. My job, being a more experienced mic person, the fact that I've had more hours on mic or camera than you, my job is to just remind.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm not telling you you're doing a bad job or a good job. I'm just telling you, hey, this is how it is. You got to follow the rules, bro. I didn't write the rules. I just follow them.
So what? Oh, so I got those tuning forks.
See, and this is the conversation that I wanted to have, I think, like 2 episodes ago, where you're like, oh, guess what? I was like, oh, the tuning forks? You're like, no, that's not it. I was like, bro, you totally just...
Yeah, they came in,
actually... You just made me sad right now.
The next...
Yeah, I think it was like the next day.
It was the next day. Yeah, it was the next day after our last...
Yeah, less than 48 hours later, you sent me a picture, and I was just like, bro... I mean, even the carrying... the I don't even want to call it a satchel. I guess the carrying... What do you want to call that thing? I mean,
it's almost like a tool roll. Because being a motorcycle rider, so like the older motorcycle style is to put the roll of tools like in a...
I would reference
with the little pockets with the flip up.
I would reference it as a chef's knife bag where you would put all your knives in and then roll them up, so you get the flap that comes over and then you literally roll them.
Same idea.
So,
yeah, exactly. So that's what it is. It's
And there's how many of them? 7?
So it's 7. There's +1. So
what's the +1? Because there's 7 main chakras. So
I believe it says sole purpose. Oh, I thought that you would get a kick out of that.
Like soul pole, kind of like soul purpose.
So I guess it's like, well, all the other ones
are chakra specific.
They're chakra specific, and I guess supposedly each chakra point, not only does it have a certain allocation of petals, that's a designation for it, which I have to look deeper into to figure out why it is, like where all that comes from. I'm not really sure, but
none of us know anything, so we're literally doing the best we can to understand all of these differentiations so that they make peace within us.
That's all I'm trying to do.
Quick thing. Yeah, I'm gonna PSA people. The reason why we give things labels is because when we don't know what they are, it freaks us out. So we give it a name. Sometimes that name offends people, sometimes it doesn't. Long story short is, when you put a name to something, it's so it doesn't freak you out anymore. Stop naming stuff and stop being freaked out by stuff. Just accept things for what they are, love and light and peace, and just be with it, man. For real. Dude, mic drop on that.
It's a beautiful thing. I can't say that I necessarily agree with that. I mean, disagree with that, because there's so many things like, to some extent, like you said, once you name it, it's like harnessing it. It's like you've now harnessed the power of that thing. Like, I can tell you, that is a can. Without a doubt, I can say,
he's referencing the can that we're drinking from.
If you see things like that, that is a can. That's what, know. And now you've put a label on that, and
it no longer makes you scared.
It gives you a sense of control over that thing, whatever it is. If you don't understand it to the point where it doesn't even have a name, that's a freakish thing. You're like, what is that?
Which is why people always try to name God.
Of course, because it's something I'm scared. I don't understand that. That's bigger than me. I don't.
Which is why, we've had this discussion before. My God, the true omnipotent, omniscient, all loving, all inclusive, all, doesn't give two F's what you want to call it, as long as you're being respectful. There is no name. You said it yourself. I am. If you put anything after that, it diminishes you, because now it's like I am this, not just I am. Yeah, the God, Buddha, Allah, whatever you want to call it, I am is all that thing is, and even more so where I am even diminishes it.
When you start putting names on things, and then they become exclusive clubs. And I think I was bringing that up last time, is that,
yeah, dude, it signifies, it allows you to...
Have we actually lost the point, because now we're venerating the man instead of the actual mission, which was pretty much that man's life purpose was the mission. So...
Well, anytime we want to label something, we're diminishing it, because when we put a name on it, that's all it is. And all of us are more than just one thing. So why are we all trying to just signify ourselves as one thing? None of us are a thing. We might be 2, 3, 7, 12, 50, who knows, but we're not a thing. Whoever you are right now, if you're listening to this, you are not one thing. You are a multitude of everything.
Yeah,
you're a part of this world.
When I became a husband, I wasn't no longer a brother to my brother.
Right.
I'm still that. I'm adding a new title on. It doesn't change who I am. Now that I'm a father, it doesn't take away from the fact that I'm a husband and I'm a brother to somebody, or I'm a son.
I think it adds to it.
Right, it just adds to it. So, don't let these things limit us, right? I mean...
Yeah, let's start accepting things for what they are instead of labeling them. How about that? I like that idea.
And even more to the point, what happens when so much of yourself, like internally, you've determined, like, you resonate with being a lawyer. You resonate with being a married man with children,
or a park ranger, or a bicyclist, or
whatever it is that you identify with. What happens when that's taken away? Then what
are you really?
What do you resonate with then? What represents you? What are you?
Yeah, what are you at your core?
Yeah.
See, I think that's a great thought experiment. So you at home, if you're sitting here and you're saying, "Hey, I am this," and you're really pushing yourself to just be that, take that off as a signifier. You're no longer that. What are you really? Take away that one great thing from you. What else are you?
And it doesn't mean that great thing is a negative at all. It's just,
correct. No.
It doesn't have to identify you.
That's my point. Hey, open up your mind, open up your heart, open up your soul. Be more than a thing. Be you to your core. What are you really?
I mean, like you were saying about the what I thought was interesting about the conversation where you started to get into the there's a lot of actors or famous people out there that are now coming out of the, I think over the years, but maybe it's becoming more acceptable now, that a lot of these people are coming out of the woodwork with, whether they're magicians on the side or they're physicists as a hobby or whatever it is, like that there's this aspect of them that totally surprises and blindsides you because you don't expect to see it. But it's because these people don't, even though they play football for a living because they enjoy it and it makes them a good deal of money, it's not necessarily the only thing that they love. They don't have to. I don't identify just as being a baller. I can identify as being
a brother, a sister, a mother, a father,
or a hobbyist astrophysicist, a musician. Maybe you're learning the piano in your spare time on the weekends. That one thing, like I'm a doctor or I'm a lawyer, that doesn't have to identify who you are. It's just what you are.
And
right?
I think the extension would be is if you go outside of the U.S. and you ask the question, what do you do for a living? They will literally tell you what they do. I'm a father. I'm a farmer. It never associates with how they make their money. Only in America, when you say, hey, what do you do for a living, do we associate that with financial gain. So that's the thing. We signify ourselves with how we make money. Why?
What we really mean is like, what do you do for money? Is really what we're saying.
But
it's
that
not
would
like
be,
what do you do for a living might mean something entirely different to another culture.
And that's the impeccable nature of your statements.
To live, I raise my kids.
Yeah.
To live, I care for my wife.
Or I care for my community, or I farm for my community, or I'm a race car driver for my community. I don't care what you're doing.
Or I care for the health of others.
When you ask somebody outside of the U.S., what do you do for a living? They literally tell you what they do to live. Not pay their bills, but to live. The things that they find joy and happiness from.
I mean, and if that's part of it, that's fine. But it's not necessarily, they don't...
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're making money as a race car driver because you're wanting to be a race car driver...
No, they'll tell you, they'll be like, well, I have a daughter, I have a son, we have a pet this or a...
They're literally going to tell you what they do to live and enjoy life.
Yeah.
Whereas in America, it's like, oh, I'm an insurance agent, I'm a dishwasher, Dude, that's not how you live.
Well, really, I don't want to hear that. Like, okay, you're a CPA, but that's not what I want to hear. Yeah, I want to hear, I race quarter midgets on the weekends. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, because I don't care about how you make your money. There's so many different ways to make money. I want to know what you do to truly live.
That's the most annoying. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It irks me, and maybe it's because I just got out of 25 years of a job that just completely thankless for me, but.
The thing that literally just popped in my head was Joe versus the Volcano. Great Tom Hanks movie. Tom Hanks is dope as can be. Great actor. Joe versus the Volcano. Great explanation of if you feel like you're in this soul sucking, your life sucks, you hate watch Joe versus the Volcano. Literally pay attention to it.
Complete box office flop too, wasn't it?
Dude, I don't give two craps what the critics think, because you know what? The critics don't have any goddamn taste.
They don't always get
Pardon
it right.
my blasphemy.
No, they don't always get it right. And actually, a lot of
they
people,
never get it right.
Well, a lot of people will specifically watch movies that critics don't like because they know that...
I'm one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if I get it's like, oh, I'm going to give it 1.5 stars. I'm going to go watch that son of a... I'm in. I'm going to go to the theater and support it.
Yeah, they bomb a movie
harder.
and you're like, oh, I'm in.
Yeah, if they're like, oh, I'm going to give it 3 3/4 stars and this is going to be a winner on the... I'm not watching that piece of crap. Dude, I'm not going to support this thing that you're telling me is this amazing. Oh my! On occasion,
look, if I see Sundance Film Festival, okay, I'm out.
Dude, no,
I'm just kidding. Some cool stuff is coming.
I have to disagree with that because I do. With the SXF. There's so many things with acronyms nowadays. When you get into these microcosms in the movie industry, those are the things I want to see. Same thing with music. I don't listen to the radio.
Well, in a way, like we were saying, because they don't have, like, the production companies not pushing all these different ideas,
They're pushing what they think will make money, not what they think will make the world a better place. That is a huge issue. See, what you and I do is we support things we feel are going to make the world a better place. We could give 2 Fs about making money. We do this for free because why? Well, 1, it's cathartic for us. 2, we like listen to ourselves because we're hilarious. But 3, our point is we really want to make the world a better place. Even if it's just one person. We can make 5,000 episodes.
Maybe we can make it better, make it a little bit more thoughtful.
No, we can make 5,000 episodes if we get one person that listens to 30 seconds, 3 seconds, a second and a half a second, and all of a sudden they become that Mahatma Gandhi, freaking Mandela, Churchill, Malcolm. I don't give 2 craps who they are. If what we're doing gets that one person to do that difference that makes the world a better place. That's the point. It's not about making money. It's not about making our lives better. It's about making everything possibly better. Good pebble in a pond.
I just got like this creepy. Like I just got this feeling of like somebody's just checking their last messages and whatnot on their phone and about to just step off the 20-story building, whatever, and they get like a 20-second snippet of our show. Like if that happened, I know this is
go ahead.
It's so ridiculous to think.
Be dark and morbid, but
if it's one person
that's the point.
They're literally right foot is about to step out onto the
and they hear
nothingness.
They hear us talking about being on the corner doing the chicken clucking thing, right?
They just start losing it. Take a step back.
That asinine thing that we think is hilarious. They could have been.
That could have been the one. Who knows?
That could be the thing that triggered them to make them step back, be that community member, and make the world a better place. We don't know, but that's why we do this. It's not about money. It's about making the world a better place. Benefit is we're having better relationships with ourselves and those around us. So, I mean, there's already been a positive gain from this. We're aware of this. It's bigger than us. We know it's probably going to be even bigger than that. Even if it's not, we're still going to do it because that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. We're working through all these, in a way, not always personal issues, because some of it's real tongue-in-cheek, like we said, but and some of it's movie stuff, some of it's song titles, some of it's...
But I think that adds to the vulnerability and the levity of all these, taboo conversations, because it makes it a lot easier for us to just kind of do our thing, right?
I'm trying to reorient here.
Reorient. Where are you going? Is it Cambodia? Let's see, reorient. Put up bump, dad joke.
All right, guy.
Yeah, right. I'm hilarious, I know.
So, no, see, the problem is he keeps giving me the eyeball because I turn my head when I'm trying to talk. Because I want to make eye contact, but then when I do that, I'm skewing off the mic. So he's trying to keep me honest.
This is why we need to build a studio so we can actually eyeball each other and still like.
So I'm I'm right there. I'm good, right there. I can't see it now, but testing.
Yeah, hold on. Dead air, but all right, there. I fixed it so he can see it because I don't need to see it.
It's beautiful.
I've been doing this long enough. I just know I have to project. Sometimes I try to bring myself down to make sure we're at the same level. So if I bump it back up, we're still even. But if anything, I need to be setting that example of I'm going to project. I mean, you're going to do it too.
To some extent, it needs to, because I'll do that naturally. But when I'm getting to a point where I'm really feeling a topic, I know that I'll go way up.
Crescendos are dope, and that's totally cool. However, from a production side, sound engineer side, the fact that we don't have that tech person, to mess with our levels, we have to be able to maintain it as close as possible. So we have to be mindful at the current moment. Even more of a reason, again, in the comments, resume. Heck, it doesn't have to be a resume. You just be like, I think you guys are dope and I really want to be a part of this. Cool, we're going to hit you up.
That's a good enough resume for me.
Yeah, I know, right? You're willing to put up with our crap.
Or, just contact information would probably be important. And maybe
we need that.
Maybe a name.
Yeah, name. We don't need to address or social security. Give us a phone number, email,
what can we call
something.
you? It doesn't even have to be a name. I mean, we're not using names, right?
No,
so
reference and a way to get a hold of you. We're good.
Like Bob.
You can be like Bob. 714 blah blah blah. Dope. Good. Thank you. We're gonna call you tomorrow.
Create your own email just for this. It could just be.
We don't care.
Silly Bob, 76 at Gmail, whatever.
At AOL.com. Yeah, right.
This is wait.
Peter.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He's busting my chops right now, people.
A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
That's what I do.
That was a really underhanded.
No, that was a right in your face. No, there was no underhanded. I didn't hide it. I didn't put it behind your back. I threw it right at you.
You did.
That's it. If I'm gonna be honest and impeccable, I kind of have to do that, right?
In your face.
Yeah, dude. I can't lean back. I can't just We got to do it, right? Even if we're being funny, even if we're being serious, we have to hold each other to that level of impeccableness, right?
Get on the mic. All right. Oh yes. So. The last time we met, I started to bring up tuning forks, and then you got really excited, I recall.
No. It was another episode where I thought you were going to talk about the tuning forks, and I was like, yeah, and you were like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, that's not what I wanted. That's not how this works.
I was like, well, I ordered them. I don't actually have them. But today, I actually do have them.
In the now.
In the now. And we can talk about them. I don't know. I didn't really learn a great deal yet. I mean, I did spend some time just kind of with some soft music trying to test them out on myself. You know, going up all my different chakras. So these things, they're designed. There's 8 of them.
Right. So 7 for the chakras, and then there's the 8th for the soul.
Yeah, there's one that's. I swear. Here, let me pop it open here. So
yeah, so for those of you, because we're obviously audio only. This is a like chef's bag setup where you literally can roll it out. It has a flap that folds. There's a pouch for each one.
It's got like that velvety feel.
What is that, velvet?
Yeah. What is this, felt? What it is now? Jeez. All right. So if I can't even open this on the, you're gonna have to speak for me because I'm like away from the mic here, but.
I mean, I don't have to. I'm going to only because our listeners deserve better quality than what you're offering right now.
So, so I can't open this bag up. I call it a bag, but I can't open this up right now because it's actually too long for the table we're on.
Well, yeah, I called it a chef's bag. You called it something else.
So yeah, this one is actually labeled Soul Purpose. So on each one, so these
Soul Pole.
These are actually, if anybody knows what these are, if anybody does energy work, or I have a little bit of.
You have not given enough expression to let them know what they might be.
Well, that's what I'm getting ready to say. So
you called them tuning forks.
Tuning forks. So not for musical instruments. These tuning forks are specifically designed for placement on the human body.
So these are chakra tuning forks.
But
that are tuned for specific chakras to open and release.
Right, to differentiate, because there are some types, and I was looking around, there are some types of tuning forks that they don't have these are weighted. They don't have these weights on here that are designed for other medical purposes. Some are designed merely for auditory.
Mm-hmm.
These are designed specifically for placement. That's why they have, if you could see this, and I may take a picture and post it at some point, but they all have like a little rubber ball here.
Maybe I'll put that in the description. Yeah.
They all have like a little rubber ball.
There'll be a link down
at the bottom.
You can find these.
So that when you strike, I gotta find the little. There's like a little rubber mallet that you're supposed to strike this on, but I can use my hand too. It's fine, but and then at the bottom here, it's got this rubber ball, and what I was saying is this is where you can just place it right on the body, wherever.
See, now this is where I kind of have like a small issue with the fact of putting the rubber ball on it. It's going to absorb.
I know.
So
yeah.
Well, but so now here's the thing though: is if the fork is tuned with that in mind, totally cool.
Well, it's also at the distal end of.
But that's the thing, though, is so if it's designed to emit a certain frequency, and they just put this frickin' stopper on the bottom and didn't take that into effect, then these things are kind of useless at this point.
Yeah, well, I think,
or at least they're not fulfilling the purpose in which they were specifically designed for. Now, if they did take it into account so that this stopper still allows for that appropriate frequency, then that's dope and that's totally good.
I mean, I'm thinking anything below like 1/8 of an inch beyond where this Y turns into a solid staff at the bottom, like a stick.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
handle
anything,
almost.
I'm thinking anything on the handle portion it's not really going to affect it, because I've grabbed it with more than one finger, and it doesn't seem to take any longer to finish resonating. You know what I'm saying? Well, and these will last about, I don't know. It's hard. It varies from one to another.
To me, it's not how much time or the ability to continue. It's the fact of when you actually use it in its intended purpose, does it still maintain that frequency to do so? If we could find that out, and they're like, yeah, this is, because maybe it resonates at like 328, but then because of the ball and everything else, and when you place it, now all of a sudden it's like 224, and that's the thing. Dope.
I haven't spent a lot of time, but I did try seeing if I could find like a tuning fork tuner. But the problem is when you type in tuning fork, they assume you're trying to tune another instrument.
Yeah, guitar, garage.
So it's literally like it's a tuning fork app that turns your phone into a tuning fork, which is not what I'm trying to find. But yeah,
right.
So all of these have a title. So I told you this one's Soul Purpose. And
literally, Soul Purpose.
That's what it says.
It's
Soul Purpose.
Yeah, right. Its sole purpose is the sole purpose. Son of a damn English.
And they're all on the opposite side. They're all marked with a hertz value.
You mean hertz?
Hertz. So
I was saying hurt value. Like, I know, you're going to beat me with it? Son of a... That's how it works. I knock you out and you think I worked it. No,
this one you can look at. This one's marked 272.2. So if you want to...
Well, so that's what I'm saying, though. So if it's at 272.2, because the fact that its component...
That's very specific.
Well, yeah, the way it's built with all of the fact that, hey, possibly you're holding it, you know, you're going to put it this way, the rubber stopper, and all of a sudden it modifies that frequency so that it's actually ideal. That's dope.
That's what I'm curious about, too, because if you look here, this actually came with an Allen key, and I haven't really looked into it, but just from looking at it, it appears that these will slide. So if you put an Allen key in there, I think maybe that's how you tune them. So every once in a while, you may have to take them somewhere or find some kind of instrument to be able to tune this to make sure it's still 272.2. But, you know, I still have to look into that because, like I said, these are brand new. I've done one session on myself with them just to see how they are.
And result from that is what?
It's hard to say. I mean, I was trying to get myself in a relaxed state. I mean, there's subtle energies. So it could take a long time to really... I can tell you, I think I ran through a couple times, and I'm not sure if I was doing it in the right manner, and I don't know if it was just because I was uber focused on what I was doing. But after about 15 minutes...
That's literally what I was going to talk about, because...
After about 15 minutes, I actually started to get a little sick to my stomach, and I don't know if it had anything to do with this, or if it was just I was uber focused. I'm not really sure, but it was...
Well, and so the point that I was going to make is, you know, us doing this show and talking about getting out of your way and just letting things kind of happen. When you're so focused on the fact of, oh, I got to put my mouth here, and I got to have the mic over this way, and I got to... When you're so aware, it does detract from the actual outcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So... Yeah, not saying that it didn't help you or anything, because that's not the point. But yeah, when you being aware,
I was searching for an effect.
Yeah, it can modify. Yeah.
But really, I mean, it
sounds like you need somebody else to fork you to find out if it works.
I think you probably yeah. All right.
But I'll bump dad joke.
All right. I was just going to ignore that one, but I think
I'm not going to let you.
Probably get a slightly different effect from allowing some, because you're not thinking about it. You're not.
Yeah, when the individual who's being worked on,
like, you can't massage yourself.
You can, but that's a different story. when you're doing chakra or energy work or things of that nature, yeah, I think you as the patient, you know, the person being operated or worked on, has to be in a calm, sedated, relaxed state.
Well, and I can't focus on my subtle energies.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, how do you know.
Yeah, a watched pot never boils.
Well, I guess that's one way to put it, but I mean, how do you...
Well, yeah, because if you're being hyper aware because you're trying to do things correctly, how are you going to be relaxed? You're not. You literally can't do it.
Well, and how are you going to focus on what's yet again? Being John Malkovich, I'm just thinking when he goes into his own head.
Dude, yeah, when he goes into his own head, dude, that's pretty dope.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a good way to describe it. Like, how do you figure yourself out? Because that's really, I mean, that scene was whoa. If anybody's seen that movie,
and if you haven't, watch it.
Malkovich.
Yeah, right. Well, but John Malkovich and John Cusack, as well as many other actors in that. Just those two alone really make that movie. Yeah. You know, as much as John Malkovich and John Cusack kind of get, you know, just like Val Kilmer, they're one of those actors that are like kind of tossed to the wayside. They're super dope. They just don't play the game. They're themselves and they are honest and true. Those are the kind of cats you need to be paying attention to. My personal opinion, but.
Yeah. Cusack, man, he has done some stuff really really surprised me.
I've been watching him back in the 80s.
1408? Isn't he the one in
1409? 1407?
Where's 1408? Wasn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, the movie where he goes into the
I just feel myself getting
hotel room
or something else.
Yeah. It might be 1408, I don't know.
Yeah, and it was like, was it supposed to be like Hotel California, or it was like a little slice of hell or something weird like that?
It puts you in a perpetual cycle of basically your own internal components, so that you overanalyze and you basically you build your own hell in a sense.
But yeah, so to and this goes right back to this episode. So if you add that up, what's that equal?
1408, 13.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not reducing it. I'm just saying.
And the fridge
and then
turns
the fridge
on.
kicks on right at that moment. That's lovely.
With the echo.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you. Again, we are conduits, and we attempt to get out of our own way and just let it be. I think that we prove this over and over again. If we can get a tech person in here to like verify, like get some like the electrical magnetic readings and all that, like we're doing Ghostbusters or something, we might be able to validate some of our things. But who knows? I'm just saying, maybe, I don't know. That's solidifies that we need tech help. People, please, comments, leave a resume, an address, email, something. Let us get a hold of you, please. Unless this video is now 2 years old, don't no. We'll still respond.
You checking for ghosts in the room, or you just want to check for brain activity? Because I don't know if you'll find anything.
but that's that thing is, if you wanted to justify, because that was also, that was the 1408 or whatever, with John. He was trying to validate it.
Well, no, he was a writer that his job was to blast, to debunk any, which also means you would validate it.
So he can either give validity or be like, nah, this is some BS and y'all don't. Because I think he went in almost as a skeptic, because at that point he had done so many places where he's just like, it's another spot, blah blah blah. All of a sudden, almost like Inception with the Leonardo DiCaprio. He gets into his own BS over and over and over again. That being John Malkovich goes into his own head. Same thing.
You hit a loop.
You get that negative feedback loop where you're just like
Malkovich. He's like reading the menu. It's like, I'll take a Malkovich.
Yeah, can I get a Malkovich medium rare with Malkovich on the side? Yeah, Malkovich with. Can I get a 1974 Malkovich? Yeah, you can. Dude, watch that movie. Yeah, dude, I've loved John.
The best is what happens when you crawl out. Right?
I don't know if that's your perception.
That it spits you out on the side of the Jersey Turnpike.
Yeah, pretty much, right, dude. That's hilarious.
Oh, what a goofball movie! But there was definitely some gems hidden in that one for sure.
So much.
Yeah. It was a real psychological.
And that's why, going back to the whole idea of a movie could be like critiqued as, oh my god, or a total piece of crap. I do.
There was a 13 reference in that one too. It was the 13th floor, but it was
I think so, yeah.
Right? It was a half floor.
And that's that thing is when you get those kind of people, those are the things you all should be paying attention to. Yeah, dude. Those are the 20% of the movies that will literally modify 80% of the world if we actually watched it. You know what I mean? Yeah, 80-20 rule. We keep coming back to it.
I love when people write about that concept though, because that was something. I think in this country we did that quite a bit.
Did what?
For a number of years, certain architects would build around completely the number 13. They wouldn't build a 13th floor. It would skip right over, or it would be they would save it just for like building maintenance or something like that, so that it wouldn't actually be occupied.
Actually, yeah, there's that, and there's an extension of that. The architects would remove certain floors. Well, because here's the deal. If there wasn't a valid floor for specific purposes, it wasn't an actual floor in the plan. Which means that if you can only have a 200-story floor component, that building...
It would actually be 201.
Well, now it's 201, 205, because you could skip a couple of floors, do nothing on them. It's like, oh no, that's maintenance components and blah, blah, blah. Nobody can actually get on those floors.
You might work in that building for like 50 years and never know that it has a 13th floor because it just zips right past you. You can't go out on the steps. Like, it literally skips right past it.
Well, it may not be a floor at all. It literally might just be a component of structure to build the building.
Concrete and that entire
completely empty, filled. It doesn't matter. But
so in this movie, it was a half floor. That's how they got around it.
But that's that thing. I mean, we got onto that component,
and it just became a joke at that point. But they used it for filing. I think was.
It's something like that, yeah. It's just been a while.
The portal to John Malkovich's head was behind this one file cabinet, and it was like this really, it's very strange,
and also very honest, which is why I liked it.
Well, it was a definite there was a definite psychological aspect to it.
I would call it an eye opener.
Because what was it psychologically all these different there was some weird, you couldn't even call it a love triangle because the one the one guy's girlfriend went in and then started to have an affair with somebody else as John Malkovich, and it was like, how am I supposed to feel about this? Like, wasn't it like I'm trying to remember? It's been a while, but wasn't there something like that? There was a weird.
To a degree, I don't remember the specific tech person, fact checker in the comments, but yeah, there was that.
There was some aspect of that going on.
Why I agree with you, it's very much a psychological component. It was one of the things where it's like, yo, we did this just to make you think, and we kind of made it funny so that you didn't get bored.
It was funny, but there was like it was only funny because otherwise you would just feel creepies crawling up your back the whole time watching it.
Because it was dark and honest, but they made it funny to keep it moving.
Well, and it had to have that little tinge of disbelief just to kind of, where they couldn't make it too realistic, because there was moments in there that were extremely spooky. As a matter of fact, I don't remember the actual Malkovich part where he climbed into his own head was pretty disturbing. I think the experience, even for like the character that, well, you couldn't even call it a character because he was playing himself, but
the psychological component of doing your own self-reflection. Right, and your own.
He drove himself mad for
your own self-check, all that stuff. Yeah, so to me, it's like that thing where, while it's a little dark and morbid, they made it funny so that you would watch it and keep watching. You should watch the movie, but in doing so, apply it to your own stuff, bro. Yeah, I'm dead serious. Everybody should. Yeah, guys, ladies, I don't care. You can be Democrat.
There's got to be a lesson in there.
You can be like Pakistani American dude. If you can watch this movie, take it, watch it. Ingest it, think about it, watch it again, ingest it again, think about it. This is one of those kind of movies. But that's why
I call it strange, because it's kind of hard to put your finger on, because I wouldn't even go as far as to call it a comedy, because
it is a comedy.
It is a comedy
by actual definition, because the hero does not die, which makes it a comedy.
By the old definition. Yeah, it's
by
not a tragedy.
The original, not old.
Yeah.
Original.
The original definition.
Dude, don't diminish it by calling it old. Give it its due by calling it original.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No apology, dude.
No,
just give it its due words, bro.
Absolutely correct, because I, generally speaking, tend to venerate things from the original tradition than the new things that we adopt. So I should be more conscientious of that, yes.
We should all. Which is, I'm not telling...
Because that's where we came from.
But I'm not telling you to tell you. I'm telling you to set that example. So while I have you here now...
I'm telling you.
Well, I will be in a minute. But that's that thing to me is, I have to set that example. You have to set that example. If we want to be better people, if we want to be better energy and light, if we want to make the world a better place, we have to set that example. And it doesn't get easier. You get more responsibilities. You have to help more. You have to remind more. You have to get out of your own way, let your ego go, and just do your thing, which is not easy. Trust me. But I'm doing it. I'm working on it. We all are. What are you doing? He's off mic. He's like grabbing things. He's not grabbing me though, so that's all right.
There we go.
Oh, there's like some balm or something.
No. This is the strike mount. This is the strike pad for the fork.
Oh, the rubber pad that would be the rubber.
It's like a puck, so it just gives you a solid something.
It looks like a candle without a wick.
So I don't know if any of this will equate over the mic, but so.
Well, not behind the mic, because they're not going to hear that.
Well, no, I'm going to do it on me first, just to show you. So I'm going to take this.
I don't want to watch this right now. I feel very strange.
What is it?
He's looking me in the eyes. It's dirty. Oh.
Well, that's
don't put it there.
That's the first one. I got to do that for the first one.
I don't know.
The root chakra, if anyone doesn't know.
Less talky, more
that's
worky.
That's actually.
Dude, don't. We don't need the visual, let alone the actual reference to. I'm not going to tell you what he did.
I don't think it really has to go on the taint. But no, this one.
Oh, jeez, he said it. That was on him. I did not do this.
This one's sole purpose, I think the idea is it can be used in the whole.
The sole purpose, SOUL. has a soul, SOLE purpose.
Yeah, I think its sole purpose is I think it's the entire. I don't know if it's to bring everything together, or I'm gonna have to read a little bit. But
so what you're saying?
Unfortunately, this came with no documentation.
So that's the echo.
And maybe
that's bringing it back around again.
Maybe this is the echo.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
And I think this is the highest frequency in the whole set, if I'm not mistaken.
If they're stamped, you can look at them all and tell us this right now, or we could give it to our fact checker.
I could, but I could,
in the comments.
I need help because I can't open that thing up on this table.
That's what I'm saying. We need a fact checker.
So,
we need
I'm
that
gonna go
third
ahead
person to just do our stuff for us.
So
yeah,
you
dude, you can bang it while we're talking. And if it's
give
going to
it
make a
a shot.
chime, you can go ahead and
then.
Yeah, no, you can't. You cannot hear.
Oh, you won't be able to hear that.
No,
though.
we're not. There's no audible frequency from this. So the suggestion is this is literally vibrating at a.
So I wonder. I mean, this is probably going to sound like hell. We'll find out later. But do you think I should just try?
No.
Or just get it near there and see what happens?
No, dude, we can't hear it. Dude, you can't hear it. It's not going to do anything.
What?
Yeah, nothing. See, nothing.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, nothing.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, that was dead air. Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. I know we tried. It didn't work.
All right. You know what?
Well, to me, this is that greater point of like, if we could put this on, if we can have actual video with this kind of stuff, there'd be a greater expression of this. Unfortunately, it's not. Now, but you're also talking about 272 hertz, dude.
Yeah.
272 is low bass range, which means you're not gonna hear that so much as you would feel that.
Wait, 1, 2, 3,
Right?
4 would. Wait.
Dude, you're talking off mic. They can't hear you.
4 would be hot.
I'm listening to this guy over here.
So I went and grabbed number 4, and 4 we discussed last time is what?
4.
4 would
Well,
be
that's your heart chakra.
Would you be your heart chakra?
Correct.
So
Yeah, because then above that is your throat chakra, and then you have your pineal gland, and then you get to your crown chakra. Yeah, what's the frequency written on that one?
what's the frequency, Kenneth? This one's
What's the frequency, Kenneth? Yeah, all right, good job.
136.10 hertz.
Well, see, so it sounds like they're going lower as you do it, which again, you're now talking about you're talking about bass, and then probably some of these, if we get under 125, you're now talking about sub bass frequencies, which those frequencies are more felt than heard.
Yes.
Which is why when you listen to music and that bass is just pounding you, because that stuff is under 145
Well, that's what
hertz.
I wonder because I did see something, but I wonder if when you would hold these in front of the mic, if it would just give you distortion. It might not even because it's going to pick up a vibration, but it's not.
Well, and that's the thing is,
It's below where the.
You're not going to hear it. You would probably more feel it, which makes sense if you're attempting to open up your chakras or vibrate your chakras open. You're going to need that lower resonant frequency so you can literally shake it. You need.
Actually, it's here.
Well, it's like we talked about when you go over the bridge and you get to that right frequency where the car is just like
it's just humming.
and hopping on you. It's like humming and these are supposed to do that in that sense. That's the feeling I get.
Just so we can go ahead and put these away, but just for shits and giggles.
Poopies and ha-has?
Poopies and ha-has.
the PG version.
Go
Poopies
ahead.
and ha-has.
Go ahead and try this, and just go ahead and just put it right there.
Not right now.
Oh, come on, check it out.
No, we can do it later.
All right, I'm gonna do it one more time, and then I'm
I don't. Maybe I don't want to actually have this experience on mic. I mean, why do you have to force me into this? Dude, his eyes. He's tapping things, putting it on his chest, and then he's like rolling his eyes. I don't know what this is about. And this is a very personal experience. I don't know if I want to be here for this right now. But to me, as you're saying with these different frequencies, knowing what bass can do, bass frequencies and sub bass frequencies, they very much give you more of a physical feeling than an actual audible noise. It's not until you really pump it out there with woofers and subwoofers that now all of a sudden you can hear that and feel those frequencies. So with these little tuning forks on those frequencies, they're probably going to do more to internalize that and shake off the funk of your chakra. So I
discovered that when I was 14 years old in the back of my brother's 1983 Ford Mustang convertible.
Yeah, right. I remember that car.
With the...
But that's why I think these in their them in their intended purpose, I can understand being on that frequency level. You could literally vibrate your chakra open. So there's probably there's no literature on this, but the principle behind it and
there's plenty of literature on it, but
not that it came with you literally.
Not with this set.
That's
in
what
particular.
I was saying.
But there are books out there, so I might just have to buy a generic.
I wouldn't buy a generic. Want a generic body?
A specific chakra tuning fork generic book for using chakra tuning forks.
Stop using diminishing words like generic. Start using words that literally support.
But I am beautiful.
You said butt. I am beautiful.
My butt's beautiful too.
If you had one.
It's true.
He's really skinny, people. You don't know this, but this dude is a toothpick. He is. Dude, that's all right, dude. I got white butt disease too, man. That thing is, dude, there ain't nothing back there. I got more in the front than the back. I'm sorry. Yeah, dude. Most deaf would not be happy with what I got rocking on, dude. I do not have enough of a butt that you can see it from the front. No, I got nothing in the front. Well, no, I got stuff in the front. I got nothing in the back. That's another story for another time. Yeah, we're talking about tuning forks and not, personal.
Not hat racks. We're not, no.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, I can hang a few hats.
All right.
I can hang a hat and a couple towels. Can lift some shades. Drive my car. Dude, it's like Spaceballs. It's got a mind of its own, right? Oh, I'm sorry about that. It's kind of told mine. I don't know why.
16 penny nails, not a problem.
Dude, real genius. Can you hammer?
Oh my God, that's
a
true.
6-inch spike through a railroad tie? Girl's got to have her standards. Yeah, I heard that, and I was like, what? I don't get that. As I got older, I was like, yeah, I can do that. I mean, it's gonna hurt me, but yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, not a joke.
And of course, you see how the lady reacted to it too.
Well, and because that was Val Kilmer, and he's just kind of looking at her like, "Holy crap! I don't even have a response for that." One of the smartest. He was playing literally one of the smartest men on the planet. He's like top 10 of all the intelligent beings, and he was stumped by that. I got to an age.
got nothing. Yeah.
I got to an age where I started to understand what that meant, and I was just like, dude, if she ever asked me that, I'd be like, I mean, yeah. What, you want to find out? Dude, I'm a challenge right there. I'm gonna call your bluff. Where's your spike and where's your rail? Let's see this. Yeah, I'm gonna throw down. I'm gonna hammer this. Yeah.
Oh.
Anyways,
even if I'm proven wrong, I still had some fun, right?
I feel like the attempt alone would get the attention.
I'm just saying.
The fact that I'm willing to try says something.
Well, come on, you can't just walk away from a line like that, right?
Well, I mean, you can.
You can.
Well, yeah, you can either deal with it, try to change it, or walk away from it.
Oh,
yeah,
see?
Right. Yeah, and I'm gonna deal with it and just be like, I mean, I'm willing to find out. You got a spike in a rail?
I could deal with it.
This?
I could deal with it and walk away from it.
Ooh. I mean, unless I'm carrying the rail and the spike. I mean, those are pretty heavy. So I might have to slowly walk away or drag. I don't know. Like oh, dude, that's an old joke. We're not even gonna go there, dude. That's gonna be a copyright thing.
It would take too long, I think.
No, I'm just copyright. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, we're a little extra sensitive right now.
What?
Yeah, well.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead and talk about that.
It was worth a try. I mean,
well,
all right.
So I'm not going to get into the details. The conversation, however, so we put up a video. There was some content that got pinged. YouTube shut it down. Cool, whatever. It wasn't what we said. It was a thing that we used. However, the conversation afterwards is you asked me, is that a bad thing, or what was your exact question? I forget.
As far as
what is it? Yeah, I think you were like, is that a bad thing? And I was, I said, yes and no, or no, isn't that a good thing, or something to that effect. Long term or long and short of it is you were asking me, is there something wrong with that? Is there a bad thing about that? And I had two answers. Was one, we learned a lesson, so that's a good thing, right?
Oh, about getting burned from
about YouTube.
So we're guessing. So this went on. It was probably on for
it never made it.
Oh, it never actually made it. Yeah. So I'm thinking it got caught. It got caught by the algorithm or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it had to have. Or there was just that one guy who was listening. Is just like, no, I know this song specifically, and didn't happen.
But I mean, anybody who was looking, even if it was just a computer. I mean, we're dead to rights because it was literally in the first 10 seconds, maybe.
It never made it to air. In its processing.
No, I mean the original recording. It was maybe the first, yeah.
Oh yeah, it was like 10 seconds of it. Correct.
Yeah.
It's 7. I don't know.
But yeah, I get that. When you posted it, it kind of does it sit in limbo for a little bit before it actually.
It uploads and then it processes.
Right. So that's I think going through there.
Processes, finalize. It just like standard definition, high definition. No, apparently it's the algorithm checking you so you're not like copyrighting stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, I do still want to look into that a little bit more because I was saying to you off mic that there's a lot of people out there that are not producing but re-releasing other people's content, whether it's new songs or old songs.
Right.
And I'm wondering how it is that they're getting around that. And like I said to you, I've never actually checked into each and every video to see if it's actually the production company releasing it to YouTube. But I mean,
who reads the description?
How are they? I mean, or are people just willing to? I'm going to post this, and if I make any money off of it, I'm willing to share.
I don't know.
I mean, is that just how they? I don't know.
We don't do this for copyrights or
no,
money.
but this was. I mean, like you said, this was a learning moment for us, and that maybe sometime in the future we'll find some kind of a workaround. Which was the other thing we were jumping to about maybe getting a creative edge of our own that's original for the show. Something as a bumper or something to bring us on and off. Well, that's what, if anybody doesn't know what a bumper means, but yeah, something to bring us into the show or bring us out, something that would be recognizable as something for our branding, really.
Theme song, whatever you want to call it, yeah.
Something...
An audible reference so that when you hear it, you're like, yo, that's I'm telling you.
This is that's my jam.
Yeah, right? That's
Instead
my jam
of just
right here.
3, 2.
Maybe that's our thing. I don't know.
It could be. I don't know. Although you keep throwing me, though, because, is it supposed to be on the green room or is it not? This guy likes to bust my chops all the time. What was the one time I actually did it? You're like, this is a green room. I'm just kidding.
It's my job to make sure that I'm elevating and keeping levity for all those around me in an attempt to set that example so that they do the same, whether it's for me or somebody else. If we're going to be Socratic, if we're going to attempt to have actions to bring about betterment for all of us, sometimes we got to be a little funny about it. Keep it light.
Well, it's like, when you were trying to learn your times tables as a kid, you made it rhyme or you made a joke out of it or something. It was always the joke that my dad told when he was trying to get me to memorize something. I would remember that better than anything else that we tried to learn that night.
Mnemonics.
Because it was yes, thank you. It was the mnemonic that he had added by making light of something and making a correlation in my mind so that the next time I think about that word, I'm thinking about a silly correlation that brings me right back to it. So yes, mnemonic device.
Yeah, it's like using acronyms, SCUBA, self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
Check you out.
Dude, I know. Roy G. Biv.
Oh,
Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet.
It's a rainbow, buddy.
Dude, I know. Right? But those are mnemonics. They're ways to shrink your brain's ability to retain it so that it's easier to recall it. So you're not trying to remember, self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. You just remember SCUBA.
Scuba Steve.
Simple.
I'm Scuba Steve.
I'm Scuba Sam. Scuba Steve's father. Yeah, right. Well, yeah, dude, me with math, man, that was never a thing. Like multiplication, remembering that stuff. Me remembering how to spell words while wasn't difficult was more difficult than remembering math. Math has always been my thing. I'm a pattern guy. Dude, I recognize patterns instantly. That's my God-given gift.
There's something really solid about...
There's logic.
There's
a consistency. And that's how my brain works.
There's something that we don't have with the English language. There's no consistency whatsoever.
Actually, I would say the consistency with the English language is whatever you say it's going to be, it's totally the opposite. So it's a totally ironic language. Yeah, that's its consistency. Oh, is that how it works? Cool, don't do it that way. Because that's not how that works. Yeah,
it's just like for every... I mean, in most other languages, if there's a rule, it's a hard and fast rule. But it seems like every rule that we have has one exception at least. Well, I before E except after C, and, when sounding like works. A is a neighborhood way.
Yeah, in other languages, if they have an exception to the rule, it is literal and exact. English is the only language that it defies its own logic, as well as backward from all the other languages in the world.
We were talking about that too, though, that it seems to be one of those languages that always seems to adapt and grow.
I wouldn't say adapt and grow. I would say modify to the point that we are overly PC to make everybody else feel all sunny and happy about crap.
And recreate all new words and stuff, whereas it's totally different. Well, we were saying this before, like how if there's not a word in German for something, they just take a whole bunch of words that describe it, and it's basically you smush a sentence into a word.
Or as they...
I'm thinking the safe word right now on your trip, but I can't even pronounce it.
As other countries allow our terminology to come into their language, they don't change it, they just say that word. So they don't even
it's easier to,
they don't add to their dictionary. They just go, oh, that's what they call it, that's what we're going to call it.
Well, that's what we do. I mean,
no, that's not what we do.
Well, we've adopted how many words that are... Well, they're not specific, strictly English. They're...
No. Well,
it doesn't exist here, so we just use their word.
As a dialect of American English, yeah, we'll use other people's words. However, at our root, we just make our own shit up, and we don't give two Fs.
I mean, camouflage.
I don't.
You can't Anglicanize that.
I mean, you could, but I don't.
It's camouflage. Well, how do they say it in France? Camouflage.
But that's that thing is, yeah, so as America keeps adding words to the dictionary, all the rest of the languages in the world just use that word.
And when I say we just like to butcher everything, don't we?
I wouldn't say we like to butcher it. I would
Please
say
pass the crescent
eviscerate.
rolls.
No, eviscerate. We make it unrecognizable. It's like, oh, is that how it works? I'm going to do the complete opposite and leave a blood trail. You're welcome. Great, thanks. Yeah, make the language even harder. Awesome. Yeah, for real, man, English is one of the hardest languages to learn when you look at all the other languages because it's completely backward. It's almost like, we as Americans just like, oh, you didn't accept us, so we're just going to do everything completely different. Oh, and it's like, no. What? No.
Oi, Mansoor.
Well, I can get that you want to have differentiation, and I respect that. But when you're doing it to the point that you're antagonizing the rest of the world, that's a problem, bro. For real.
We're pretty good at that, though.
No, dude, we excel at that.
It's almost like a point of pride for a lot of Americans.
America,
yeah, America.
Which cracks me up because it's like, oh, what do you speak? English? No, we don't.
No, we don't.
Not even close.
No, we don't.
We speak American, which is a dialect of English. But and then we want to label like, oh, if you're going to speak from the city, it's like Ebonics. You remember that crap?
We were talking about that before, though. That there are, and I think we both agreed on this. That there are a lot of words that they use in the English language that we never adopted, like ways to say things that I really appreciate more. I mean, I don't know, we call it an elevator, but I just like a lift. It's kind of cool. Well, we could all use a lift, Or it's not an apartment. I say, I live in an apartment. No, man, I got myself a flat. I got a one-room flat. Well, it's just different. I don't know. There's just something...
And see,
we were saying this before about, like, oh, he's an acquaintance. No, that's my mate.
Me being raised and born in Spain and then outside of Los Angeles, I learned probably 2 to 3 different dialects of Spanish, which is a direct derivative of Latin. Latin is very logical and exacting in its expressions. As a math-based individual with logic in my mind, that stuff makes sense to me. Speaking English, it's like the dumbest thing in the world. Dude, I hate the fact that I speak English because I'm like, I sound like such a moron right now because I'm trying to over-articulate. I'm not
sure that's the language.
To me, speaking American English is like being overly verbose, which I'm pretty sure there's probably a word for that in the English language because Americans had to be like, well, what is verbose? Cool. What's verbose squared? They probably made a word for that. I mean, fact checker, look that up for us.
Well, it's like saying Sahara Desert, right? When doesn't Sahara, I believe, means desert.
I don't know. Possibly.
It's like a really windy Scirocco.
Correct. That's the thing is, America just has to like not only make its own language, but it has to like butcher its own language. And then we make amendments to it and modify the definitions to make it even worse.
I don't know if I'm the only person that cracks up when I hear, and I don't know what it is, but like every time I listen to, I'm thinking of like game shows. When you see some lady, she's all excited and she's about to spin the wheel, and they, that's when they kind of zoom in on her, and Pat walks up and he tries to ask a couple personal questions, make a joke, and then get back to the show. Or it's like, oh, so tell me about yourself. And they're like, oh, I live in Oklahoma at a ranch with I've been married to my husband. I don't know why that cracks me up when I hear them say that. I've been married to my husband.
Because that goes back to that question of what do you do for a living? So they're actually being literal in their expression at that point instead of telling you what they do for making money. So that's not the norm.
I mean, would you be married to someone other than your husband? Like, I don't know why. It just comes off weird to me.
Well, yeah. So same-sex marriages. Yeah, of course you might be married to something other than your husband.
But that word doesn't even necessarily define you as being male or female anymore.
Correct.
So,
that's why.
Why would you even have to make a differentiation? I've been married for 10 years to Sally. Do I need to put a title on that other than I'm now married to Sally?
If you wish to...
Do I have to be married to my wife, Sally? Because obviously I'm not married to my husband, Sally.
If you wish to put that signifier on there, apparently you have that privilege. That's not a joke. No, that's for real.
I guess.
America seems to have this idea that we need to signify things. Hey, if you want to be identified, signify. I don't give two craps if you're a purple Martian from Venus. If that's what you want me to identify you as, I'm more than happy to give you that respect as a living entity to identify you as whatever you call. However, you can't force that on me. I'm going to be respectful, and if you ask, I'm gonna completely comply, and if anything, I'm gonna be overly polite and very much, hey, so and so is such and such and blah blah blah, and you should have respect for that because that's what they asked for. Outside of that, you can lick my you know what.
It seems like and maybe this is just me. It seems like we're getting in JP territory again, right? We're talking about 12 rules for life.
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson was his whole act. That was what kind of thrust him into popularity, really.
That was the thing that got him to go mainstream, because before that happened, he already had hundreds of some odd lectures and he was all over the place, but nobody paid any attention to him other than his, lecture students, more or less.
Right.
Until he basically said, "Yeah, you're infringing upon my rights as a human being to tell me how I have to identify you as. If you want to ask me to do it," because if you ask him personally, he's like, "Hey, one, the empirical data supports that if you tell me to do this, it's going to disrupt everything in the world. But two, if you're going to tell me to do something as opposed to being respectful and saying, hey, I would like you to do," because here's the thing is...
Well, he didn't say he wouldn't do it.
Well, no. Yeah. What he said was, if you asked me... So if I asked you to be like, hey, can you call me a purple Martian from Venus? You'd be like, oh, cool, I'm all right with that. As opposed to the law saying, hey, that's a purple Martian from Venus, you better say that shit.
Dude, I want you to call me a Grey Goose Guzzler, but only on Wednesdays in the afternoon.
Yeah, and for the law to tell me I have to modify my vernacular to make other people feel better is bullshit.
That's where I draw the line.
I understand. I understand the principle behind it, because people wish to be identified and they want to be, seen as a class so that they have, law behind them. Totally support that. However, the law should really be written so much so that it's not, hey, you have to do this. We are all humans and we are allowed to be identified as whatever, and we are allotted equal opportunity. Not that we each have to say or do any of this. No, that's BS. The fact that we can modify or write amendments or laws so that we all have the allowance for equal opportunity, that's the true point, and that's what he went after. It's not the fact that you're telling me, it's the fact that you telling me is going to disrupt the actual flow of our system. The fact that you're going to tell me I have to do this. It's the same thing as somebody who is, either male, female, transgender, or whatever else, and society tells them you have to identify this way. You're now trying to write a law that says we have to do the reverse of it. No, we have to do the reverse of what it is that you're trying to go against. You're telling us now. So society says this, and now you say we have to say that. No, both sides are complete BS. What it should be...
Well, how is that your right as a government to say that at all?
It's not. That's why. Neither of those ideas are right. The idea that we should all be allowed equal opportunity and equal respect, now that is something I can get behind. And that shouldn't be a law. That should be common goddamn sense. Pardon my blasphemy.
Equal opportunity.
For real. Yes. Not even equal opportunity, but just equal respect. I don't care if you're black, white, transgender, American, Taiwanese or whatever. We all deserve to be seen as living entities. This includes the trees. This includes the water. This includes the animals. This includes the humans, the spiders, everything. We all deserve the same respect. And we don't need laws to dictate that. We need our virtues, our morals, our literal hearts to do that.
What does it mean if everybody's saying it because they're supposed to? At that point, it's almost like you would give extra respect to somebody who would go against that.
I mean, I would.
Because it's like, yo, dude, you just called me dude.
Yeah, how
and not
dare
G.
you?
Like, you're supposed to call me G, but you're the one person that called me dude. So, in a way, I don't know. Like, does that totally flip it? And I think Jordan himself even said, like, he spent a lot of time talking to some of, obviously, because some of his students aren't necessarily, they don't fall in that binary. They don't consider themselves,
Well, I think that was
strictly like masculine male or feminine female. They fall out of that normal. And he said, that's fine. If you want me to call you, Papa Smurf, I don't care. I'll call you Papa Smurf. But don't tell me that I have to. Because that detracts from, like you said, the whole the social exchange because now I'm required to do it.
And so from watching his interviews and lectures and all of those components, while I completely support and totally understand that there should be some form of legislature that allots for all of us, no matter how small of our minority, whether it's 1% or 1% or 10%, there should be a common understood availability that we have actual respect for one another. So because in law, in order to have that, you have to be deemed a class. That was what the legislature was after, was allowing these people to be deemed as a class, which means that in order to discriminate, it literally is discriminate. Because if you're not a class, you can't discriminate. So you have to define it as a class to discriminate. But in order for them to define it as a class in the fashion that they went to do, literally went against all the rights of being a normal human being that is allowed the ability to express.
I see what you're saying, because psychologically, if what I'm trying to do is see you as the same as everybody else, in essence, a human being.
Right, equal opportunity.
What I'm now being forced to do is put you in a box.
So
now, how should you feel about that as a person?
And that's why my expression was, we're doing the opposite. So you get that, 0.1%, that one person, the 10%, whatever. You get this person that says, hey, you have to do it this way. So you're telling me because society told you that you have to do it this way, now you're going to tell all of society that we have to do it this way? That's bullshit on both parts. We as society should not have that right or privilege to do so to anybody, just as that small percentage should not have that right or privilege to do it right back. All for one, one for all. I get that you want to have your balance. You should have your rights. But we should do that on a conscious level, not a legislative level.
Right. And that, the more I'm thinking about that now kind of what I'm saying, and I think you're trying to say the same thing, is that totally goes against what you're trying to do.
It's ironic, and
totally going against what you're trying to do, because
you're like writing a rule that breaks itself.
Well, and which
is like English.
What you think about it is, okay, I'm forcing you, say whether you're a majority or a minority, I'm forcing you as let's call you a majority. And I don't even know what to define that is anymore, but. And
I'm with you. I would say a classification of people or a collective.
Yeah, either way you look at this, it's a terrible, terrible thing to do to people.
Yeah, the fact that we got to get so.
But you're now forcing somebody to put another person in a box, okay? But psychologically, what are we also in training? And this is one thing that really scares me, having two young girls, is that society right now is really pushing young people to identify with a group. And we kind of touched base on this before, it's really, really scary and dangerous when you realize what groupthink starts to do to you psychologically, that you start pushing the edge of what you consider morally acceptable.
Well, yeah, as other people push their own ideas.
Because now you're identifying as the group, and you're caught up in the moment, whatever it is. Like, okay, if we say some of these riots that are going on in the streets, whether somebody's actually paying some of these people to do this or not, the rest of the people are getting the other 80%, right, are getting caught up in it, right? And whether or not this lines up with their morality, it doesn't even matter at that point, because it's like you're outside yourself. Because now at this point, you realize, okay, it seems to me like the other 80% of the population is feeling this way. If I show that I'm going in a different direction, I could be mobbed.
Yeah, the Japanese call the nail that sticks out gets hammered. Yeah, whether you're the 20% or the 80%, when you're the one that sticks out, no matter how large that percentage is, you get hammered, which is bull.
And that's a really, really scary thing when you realize kind of the mentality that our country is now going into. It's really getting, to me, it's really starting to get closer to like China. And the way now, if you look at the way China runs things, it's scary. I mean, they're all rated on a daily basis, almost like they're on the stock market. They all have a social score. And that social score determines what they're allowed to buy, where they're allowed to shop, who they're allowed to marry, be friends with, how much money they have in their bank account. It determines all of that.
Don't we do the same thing?
They literally have it on their phone, like up to the minute. Like, yeah, we're getting there really quick.
Credit score?
Yeah. I mean, in a way, yeah.
Again, aren't we also doing the same thing?
Scarily, it's getting even more so, I think, because it's not like, because what you're talking about. So now you're talking about you're going to rate somebody based on how they make purchases, how they repay their debts, and that's all like, there's a mathematical equation that you can work out. That's all it is. They're playing the numbers game. It's a loaning.
So
whatever. I'm talking about literally what you post on Facebook and what you say, in the public eye. All that could literally directly affect that number.
Doesn't that happen here in America?
To some extent, but it's developing, I think, in a way more. Oh, please.
That's that thing. So you as a societal member wanting to get married, be a better person, have family, doesn't your mate look at all of that stuff as well? So while it may not be governmental that's giving you that assigned number, we as individuals have been doing this.
Yeah, that's
no. Think,
I mean,
for real.
yes,
No,
but that's quite a leap. As to
that's
actually,
not a leap. No, that's not a leap. No, that's not a. No, this is
on everybody's phone.
There is empirical data that supports this. So while China might have it on your phone, so do you. You're just not being told. Psychologically, you're still doing the same damn thing. It's just not from the government. It's from yourself. So you're going to go on and look at Facebook and see this and that and Instagram here and there. You're going to make a judgment based on their financial credit score, how much crap they put on, this, that, and the other, whether or not they're going to get the job, whether or not you're going to date them, whether or not they get to adopt a child. We do the same shit. It's just a different program.
So now we're getting into semantics again, I guess. Really.
No, this ain't semantics.
To me.
No, you're talking about the difference of like, hey, you can see it on your phone.
There is a physical difference, and there's a psychological difference in how that affects you as a person in your day-to-day.
And it's the same thing. It's a slightly different
similar,
platform, but it's the same thing.
I can see the similarity, but I don't consider it the same thing.
Dude, it's totally the same thing.
We'll have to agree to disagree.
Well, all right, so perfect.
It is different.
Here's the example.
I see exactly where you're coming from, but
you're
it is
talking
different.
about,
and you're expected to do certain things.
You're talking about the fact that you as a human being has to look at your phone and see where your worth is in your life. I don't care that it's China or America. China might tell you your exact number. In America, you subconsciously have the same damn reflection. It is completely psychological. So we as humans that are betas,
alphas, you're putting it on yourself. No, I'm saying the government's actually telling you, this is your score today because you effed up. So now you're at 700.
I don't care if it's the government or the society.
I see exactly where you're coming from.
That's why I'm saying it does the same exact thing. It might be a modified platform, but it still F's with you on a psychological level.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Now you might look in the mirror and say, hey, I'm a 9.5. Then you look at your phone and you go like, nah, I'm a 5.4. Same thing in China. I'm a 312. Nah, you're actually like a 104. It modifies whether you get credit, whether you can marry, whether you can have children, whether you can any of that. China or America. Same exact effect.
So what you're talking about is actually, and to bring this back to the notes that I took like 3 or so pages worth of notes on, I was saying last time, on The Social Dilemma, the movie that I saw, the Netflix movie.
Yeah, it was something we talked about off mic.
And we didn't say much about it. Like I did say that it was written with a little bit of a slant. I mean, the idea was to kind of scare you. I mean, to some extent, that's what they wanted to do.
Right.
And to some extent, it absolutely worked. Because when they start showing you the numbers, and this is what really scared me, and this is where I'm going to tie it in, because
you had a reference of
I agree with you in a lot of ways, but there's something psychologically different about it being handed to you like that. That's my only point.
I would agree to that.
That's my only point. Well, there is a difference between the two.
Well, so
one is completely self-inflicted, where the other one...
No.
Yes.
That's where I'm going to disagree.
Because I can just easily delete my account.
But you can't delete the way society looks at you in America.
No, but I can delete the way I feel about it.
So can you in China. So whether you're being physically reminded on a daily, numerical component, or your daily reminder is, hey, you seem pretty cute, and I like, oh no, your credit score is 612, and they will do that. So while in China it might be instantaneous, the literal psychological effect is the same. That's what I'm saying. So,
I just want to check really quick. Sorry. Go off the mic.
why are you apologizing to me? You're leaving the other people hanging, and I got to stand here by myself in front of this thing. I mean, everybody knows a one-sided conversation is not that entertaining. I'm entertaining, but I'm not that good.
So I just wanted to grab my book really quick because there were a couple notes that I wanted to take note of. Some of this I just put down as questions because I was watching the movie. I was trying to take down like we said before. Like I was doing the same thing I do with our shows. I was taking down the hot button, the trigger.
Right.
For me.
Because not everything is going to be pertinent, at least not in the situation. And then, when you have something where you're like, holy crap, that either excites me on a negative or a positive, that's a hot button. And so you wrote those.
So some of these I just wrote as questions for me, the audience, you, just to think about. So anybody who does the whole Facebook, Twitter, for personal stuff, not obviously for business. I mean, a lot of people do for business. That's a totally different thing. What I'm talking about when you're doing it for personal and you're one of those like after a while you can't help but feel like my followers determine my value as a human being and all this stuff. So I started writing down these like, do your notifications on your device control the way you think?
Psychologically in America, yeah. As well as what you're telling me in China also.
Next note. Companies don't sell products anymore. They're in the business of buying and selling people.
There's a lot of truth to that.
That was actually a quote that was taken, not verbatim, but right out of the movie, basically.
Right, yeah, I agree to that.
That we are the product now.
I think we've actually had that conversation, whereas we as individuals are no longer valued as an individual. We're now just a commodity.
Well, and some of this was referenced that Permanent Record, Snowden book. There was a reference to that these algorithms that are just picking up information about you and learning how to sell better to you and learning
like the data mining, basically.
But to some extent, they can control the way you make decisions. They can
they can influence.
And when you're like I said, there is a slant to this movie, but you can't necessarily say it. I mean, it is true because these algorithms are designed in a way to keep your attention on that phone screen as long as possible.
Correct. That's why I said not control, influence.
Right, but influence is...
Oh, that's a very powerful thing.
Huge.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm attempting to make sure that we're being impeccable with our statements.
So I just had a statement of something about your change in perception, to change the way you are, change the way you think. The term that's used for this now is surveillance capitalism. I don't know if you've heard of this. This was also referenced in the movie, and I kind of like that term, so I wrote it down. I thought it was interesting. But that's going right back to that whole Snowden thing, where like everything you put out there nowadays is sold to the highest bidder. So any information that you share on Facebook or, I mean, honestly, YouTube, Twitter, like any of these accounts that you have connected to you as a person, that's all sold out to companies to the highest bidder.
Can be, not everything, but yeah, can be. Yeah, there's quite a bit of data collection.
More than you think.
Yeah. No, not more than I think. You always overgeneralize.
It's hard to...
not everything.
No, it's not.
But there is a very large majority of what you're doing that, is being literally categorized, collected, and then causes them to push influences to you to, help you predict your purchasing and so, things of that nature.
So that's considered, that surveillance capitalism is like trading in human futures, is what they call it. So I could say some of these devices are designed in such a way, not the devices themselves, but some of these services, these platforms, these social media devices, are designed compared to a drug when it comes to like an addictive quality to them.
There's plenty.
The joke was made that the question is, do you check your phone before you take a pee in the morning, or do you check while you're peeing? Because there's no other option.
And that's the thing is, I think even Jordan Peterson talks about this. There's literally empirical data that supports the way our dopamine and all of those different programs in our brain, where it used to be like, oh look, there's an apple, and as you get closer to the apple, you're like, you get more and more excited, and all of a sudden you pick that apple, you're like, oh my god, and then you eat the apple. All of those systems are designed to keep you living. We've been slowly modifying our program so it's no longer about the apple. It's now about, hey, how many likes did I get on this picture?
Right. So now,
by the way, likes do not get you a healthy diet.
So what they say,
Eating
like,
fruits and vegetables
by optimizing the human connection, but this is where I keep coming back to, does that really optimize anything? Because in a lot of ways we're less connected to each other than we were 10 years ago. I mean, have we really gone forward?
Well, it optimizes the efficiency of the economic system so that we continue to buy and sell. And
so now some of this stuff as far as addiction was coming from an actual doctor from Stanford University School of Medicine.
well, yeah, because you're literally modifying your programming of how your brain dispenses dopamine, serotonin, all that stuff.
Yeah, and she's the medical director of addictive medicine, and she said, and I like this is
Paraphrasing.
Paraphrasing. This is close to a quote as I pulled, but she said I'm worried about my children, and I'm worried about your children as to what they're being exposed to, because she's like, she has to remind her kids all the time, and what she say about the pleasure-pain balance and about dopamine deficit states and all this other stuff. I want to look into some of that, because that sounds like a whole different rabbit hole that I could go down that'd be really interesting to learn about. But just by the terminology alone, like, I get a real impression that that's what she's trying to warn her kids, that there's a real tipping point when it comes to how much emphasis you put on these things, and as far as determining your value of life.
And that's where I go to, you as an elder, we need to teach our youngers what true value is. You know, moments with your family, moments of being happy because you did something and created self-worth, not because you bought something or were part of a system where something was bold or, you sold or bought. Or
so then, in a way, I even, like we were just saying, I even compared it to the China's social score thing.
Your social,
yeah, so right, I did come back and relate it to that. So I am agreeing that while there is a similarity, I think psychologically there's a difference when it's literally being handed to you versus some of this is perception, obviously.
But both of them are perception.
Well, yeah.
The difference that you're speaking about is you have a literal number being stamped on you daily that you can physically see. Yes, does that have a larger impact? Possibly. The fact that on a daily basis, because here's the deal, you as a beta male constantly trying to go out and find that one woman to make you that better person, you constantly being rejected, the fact that you put up a post and nobody likes it except for your cousin, that in and of itself gives you a physical worth. It may not be stamped as like 104, but you still feel the physical impact and the psychological impact from that.
And that was
so would you being reminded daily of this number probably be a little bit more impactful? Possibly, yeah, I can agree to that. However, the end result is we as a society, whether it's governmental or cultural, we're still shoving these ideas down each other's throats so much that we become competitive to see who's the best. Whereas back in the day, it was like, who can provide the most? All right, you're the best. Dope, thanks. Now it's not. It's who can make the most effing money. That is nothing that, unless you're helping society.
The most likes. I mean, it's just as simple as that. I mean,
well, correct. But if
this is a stupid popularity contest.
If that stuff actually was used to make the world a better place, that's a great value system. But it's not.
And I mean, we can all attest to how tough it was. I mean, elementary school, junior high, high school, it's tough psychologically. You're going through a lot. You have to learn to overcome a lot of things. Your
hormonal changes on top.
You're going through awkward changes. I mean, not to sound like a health class here, but there's already a lot going on there. A lot of opportunity for real psychological turmoil. And I think one of the things that really concerns me as an individual and as a parent is when I looked at, now one of the things that really threw me was they said that the numbers for teen and preteen, especially preteen suicide rates, when you compare them to kids that weren't raised with these social devices, that you're talking as much as 150% over the norm when it comes to preteen suicide. I'm looking at my little girl thinking...
Yeah, that's a serious number to look at. I agree.
And of course, how they get you with your heartstrings is they show this girl that's like, I mean, she's got to be like 6 or 7 years old, and she's staring in the mirror. And of course, you can see that she's back and forth on the phone, and she's just staring in the mirror, and she's just She's just sitting there and judging the crap out of herself, and you just watch this tear form in her eye.
Why does a 6-year-old have this much, access to this crap?
There should be no concern about what you look like at that point, ever.
No, ever. Not even at that point, ever.
But I mean, especially at that, it's just...
The only concern you should have with what you look like is whether or not supports you being the healthiest person you can be. Because there are plenty of people that are either going to be beyond skinny or beyond fat, and they're still perfectly healthy. It has nothing to do with what they look like. So what your external representation of whether or not you are mentally and physically healthy does not always correlate. On a general, sure. But dude, just because 90% of the world is supposed to be, 150 pounds doesn't mean you at 110 or you at 304 is not healthy. Well, we need to start thinking more of what is healthy per individual, not as a general overall, because that does not do anything for anybody. Generalizations is how we get in trouble.
Yeah, and obviously, if there's a health issue, yes, but yeah. What I wanted to do was...
we're starting to get really, really serious.
I know, and cut right through that because I was just going to say, we're getting to the point where we're super serious. This is no longer green room stuff. But what I wanted to do was I took... That was 2 pages worth of notes on the movie. And all I have is I have basically like a page left where I just wrote my personal synopsis, like my takeaways from it. So I'll just read that and then we'll be done with this. And if you want, then we can kind of...
Oh, yeah, no, we're definitely at a place to break. But finish, finish, bro. Do it.
So this was, after watching the movie, this was just kind of my train of thought.
Yeah, Social Dilemma.
Yeah.
On Netflix.
So one could argue that in today's society, the social networking sites are creating these problems with a polarizing effect on everyone, from issues with identity politics, issues with racism, religious persecution, all connected electronically. That it can be activated at any time for any purpose. That the mob mentality can be switched on like that.
Groupthink.
And the power, and this is, you can take this in all kinds of different directions, because this is the power that some of these social media institutions have. We saw this year when they started interfering with politics, where it's like, where do you draw the line? And the problem is, as a society, if we're not willing to pull the plug on these people when we feel that they have crossed that line, it's basically telling them it's okay to do that.
Yeah,
the concern is when you start, and I don't necessarily have to get specific because everybody knows what I'm talking about, but when you start pulling specific people off for their political viewpoints and no longer allowing them to have an account with you, like, how do you call yourself representing all? If you're sitting there editing an opinion that you don't agree with.
And that goes to my bigger point of, especially here in America being a self-governing republic, we're all supposed to have a valid point. When all of those valid points start to be very congruent to the point that we literally have a large majority that feel the same way, that should be a general guide, not rule, general guide of, hey, let's transition this way. It should be a gentle nudging of like, hey, bro, let's go over here. But we take it on a literal point and just make it verbatim, and now all of a sudden we judge people. And that is unhealthy. Yeah, we all have valid opinions, and we should all be expressing them.
And I stopped here at one point, but I kind of put it together. But I was basically saying something about mob mentality, and I said, in my opinion, I think groupthink may actually be many times magnified by the influence of social media.
Oh, absolutely.
And that it's so easy for, whether you want to say some of these groups that are controlling, the CEOs of these companies, or whether it's the people within it that are doing these things, it's hard to say. But
I want to use the word influencing. I don't like the word control, because they're not really controlling; they're influencing.
Well, no, but I'm saying the owners of the company versus the people that are just users.
Correct. So, no, I agree.
Like, I'm making a differentiation there between the people that are actually pulling the strings as to how the algorithm works, how their programming runs behind the scenes, what it looks for,
That's why I want to call it influencing, because they go above and beyond to make sure that they write things and state things, and they influence massively.
Would you consider that AI? Some of these programs, to some extent. I mean, I'm just a general question because
I think it's time to break.
well, and we'll finish off here. But the funny thing I think is that every time they've run an AI program, it doesn't take but 48 hours for that thing to become the most racist, bigoted thing in the world, and it's just amazing. It's a computer.
Well, because you're looking at it, because it bases its judgments off of what inputs we give it, which is very judgmental.
Yeah.
They're only going to exaggerate
So I'll just this was the end, okay, of my rant for that movie. So my last reference was just what is truth. Many people in the tech industry themselves don't allow their own kids to use a lot of these devices, or they limit them very severely. So that should tell you something.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Gates himself, I think, limits his own kids to like an hour or two a day.
Well,
If that. It may be actually less than that.
And to me, that's that thing is, if you're going to set that example, it can't be for your kids. It has to be for everything. So if you're utilizing this and you're keeping your own children from it, have better morals and values. Come on. It's not what's best for me. It's not what's best for you. It's what's best for all of us. Not the bottom dollar, not what's in our pockets, not what we're going to be as self-worth at the end of the day. What is best for all of us should be what's best for all of us.
So we've ran pretty long here for a green room, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll get right back to you. So, well, you don't have to worry about a break at all because
You say it.
you just got to reach over and push that button, man.
That's what she said. All right, fam. We'll see you in a hot minute.
Word.